Here's a fun fact about the Xbox Series S. If you get one under your Christmas tree, your parents may be thinking about adopting you. Sorry. What's going on, guys? My name is Will and welcome to PLC85 for everything new with gaming and funny reaction videos. Subscribe and do not forget to hit the notification bell because we post videos every day. Now, today's episode we will be reacting to Young Don the Sauce God. She snuck in and I got kicked out. This looks like a funny one. This is gonna be a funny one. It's Young Don. Let's get inside the video, guys.
So remember that story I told about my aunt kicking me out my junior year of high school because one day she came up to my room and it was nasty, bro. It was disgusting.
Yeah, I remember that one.
A mess. I then told you that I had an uncle that came in clutch because he took me in so I wouldn't have to get put on a plane back to Jamaica. Well, the next year, he also kicked me out.
Oh, stop
which
this.
makes me wonder, was I the problem?
Stop this.
Well, I'll tell you the story, and then you can tell me. So, when I moved to my uncle's, I also moved 30 minutes drive away from school, which meant there's no more walking to school, bro. You feel me? That's dead. I now needed a ride, and at first, my uncle was taking me. Now, this made me feel bad, because my uncle worked very hard and was already going a lot out of his way to accommodate me so short notice. To add him having to get up at 6:30 and take me to school, it was a lot. So you can imagine how relieved I felt when I found out that one of my new neighbors was this dude I knew from school. Let's call him Brian. Brian was also a senior. We had a mutual friend through one of my basketball teammates, and most importantly, Brian had a car, which meant he drove to school in the mornings. So one day I asked him if I could ride with him in the mornings, and he said, yeah. I said, bet. I asked my uncle. He was more than on board with it. In fact, he was going to give me $25 a week just to give Brian for gas money. It was a win-win-win for everybody. So Brian starts taking me to school in the mornings, and at first everything's going well. But then one day on the way to school, Brian was like, yo, Don, we about to stop at Kev's house real quick, link up with some of the boys. Kev was also someone I knew, so I was like, bet, yeah, that's cool. I didn't ask too many questions. So we take a detour from the usual route and end up at Kev's house. We park, and then Brian turns off the car and starts to get out. So I'm like, yo, you're not going to school? Brian's like, oh yeah.
You know where this is going?
I'm gonna just get some from Kev real quick. I'll be right back.
Get it from
so
Kev.
I'm in the car chilling. About 10 minutes go by, and then Brian comes back out looking very relaxed. He was big chilling. He gets in the car, and I noticed that he now smelled very organic, herbal, some would say. So I was like, okay, I get it. We continue on to school, and we get there like 10, 15 minutes late. Not a big deal. I mean, I didn't like being late, but everyone's late once in a while. Well, once in a while turned into 2 to 4 times a week. And remember, my uncle is paying this dude. Also, I wasn't into herbs like that at the time, so it was just starting to be an inconvenience. Still, I was like, I'd rather do this than ask my uncle again. Plus, I didn't want to snitch, so I was like, I'll figure it out. So my diehard fans would know that when I started my senior year of high school, I wasn't with Taylor. Remember, we had broken up over the summer. Watch this video to get the reference. But a few
I've
months
seen that
into
video
the school
actually.
year,
The video was a
we
good
got
one.
back
Guys,
together.
definitely check it
Again,
out.
this
I did a
video
reaction, but
explains
check
all
out his
of that.
video.
So one day, she's dropping me home from school because we now lived kinda in the same direction, and we were dating again. She's dropping me home, and I'm telling her about the whole morning detours thing, and she gets it, you know? Because she was an Asian. Know what I mean?
Tough parents must be.
I'm Jamaican. We both had strict parents, is what I'm trying to say. We had to be good students. So she's like, I could pick you up in the mornings. So I'm like, yeah? You sure you want to do that? She's like, yeah, no problem. So I'm like, okay. All right, problem solved. So she starts picking me up in the morning, and it's going great. I get to spend a little more time with my shawty. Sometimes she would stop at that McDonald's that I got fired from, the one by the LA Fitness off Pines Boulevard. Yeah, that one. She'd stop there, and I'd buy her some breakfast McGriddles, and life was good. For like 2 weeks. Eventually, my uncle noticed that Taylor was taking me to school instead of Brian. So he's like, yo, what's up with that? Not wanting to snitch on Brian, I tell him, oh, Taylor lives close, she offered, didn't think it was a big deal. Then he's like, does Taylor's parents know she's picking you up? I'm like, yeah, maybe. Probably not. Nah, they don't know. He's like, well then, Chris, that sounds to me like this is in fact a big deal. That's how he talks to me when he's lecturing me. He's retired from the U.S. Navy,
Sounds sus.
by the way. So I'm like, I mean, Taylor doesn't seem to mind at all, honestly. Plus, that 25 you give me, I use it to buy us breakfast in the mornings and put a little gas in her car. But my uncle wasn't trying to hear none of that, because if Taylor were to, let's say, get into an accident with me in the car or on the way to my house, and her parents didn't know that she was making these Uber runs for the boy, it would be a problem. And Taylor's parents wouldn't have been okay with it, to be honest. So I started going with Brian again, and surprise,
Don't get it twisted.
surprise. Guess who's late
Asian
for
women
school?
are
So
the most
now I
ratchet
found
women in the
myself
world.
in a sticky, icky situation. Option 1. Continue going with Brian, continue to rack up tardies for being late, and then deal with those consequences, both at school and home. Option 2, tell my uncle that the whole Brian thing wasn't working out, and have him start taking me to school again, and just deal with the perpetual sense of feeling like a burden, because, like I said, my uncle was already doing a lot for me. Like, I haven't even said the half. So there was that. Or option 3, lie to my uncle, tell him that Brian was taking me to school, but have Taylor keep picking me up in the mornings. Guess which one I went with?
Kinda obvious. Hey, enjoyed the video? Question mark. Leave me a like. I agree, leave me a like too. After you watch this video, smash the like button, guys. Not that
Now,
hard.
there
Show
was
support.
only
It does
one
help.
major obstacle in the way of pulling
Or
off
dislike,
this lie.
depending.
My
It's
uncle
fine.
lived
Find either
in
way
a
for me.
gated community, which meant unless you had a pass on your car to get in, anyone coming in had to go through security. And security would always call the house to verify that you were expecting a guest. So every morning when my girl came to pick me up, the security at the gate would call the house phone. The house phone was kept in the living room. So what I would do is in the mornings, around the time when my girl was gonna be pulling up, I would sit in the living room, phone in hand, finger on the trigger. As soon as the phone started ringing, I would answer it. That way, it would only ring for like less than half of a second. On top of which, my aunt and uncle are fast asleep up in their room on the 2nd floor. So there's no way they could have heard it. I did this every single morning. And as far as I could tell, it was working perfectly. I'd give the security the okay to let her in, and I'd walk up the street to a point where the house was out of view, and then me and my girl would drive off into the morning sun, occasionally stopping for bacon, egg, and cheese McGriddles. Because if you get the sausage, you are a psychopath. And life
Hey,
was
I
good,
get the
man.
sausage.
Life was
Stop
good.
this.
For like a week. A week goes by, and I started to notice a tension in the house. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something was off, particularly around my uncle. Now, like I said, my uncle is a US veteran. He has a very stoic demeanor. He's not a mess around silly kind of guy. Also, he and his wife, my auntie, run a business together. And they have 2 kids, so I wasn't sure if there was really tension I was feeling or if he was just having a stressful week. Maybe a couple more days go by, and then I get my answer loud and clear. Late one evening, I came home from basketball practice. One of my teammates dropped me home. I walked through the door, tired, hungry, but happy to be home. I set my stuff down, yell out, "Good night," to everybody, and I made my way to the kitchen to start fixing myself a plate for dinner. As I'm fixing my dinner in the kitchen, I see my uncle. He was sitting by himself in the living room couch, his freshly shaved head reflecting the bright fluorescent lights of the 75-inch ultra-wide flat-screen TV mounted on the wall. I could see him clearly, yet there was a darkness on that side of the house.
Boy.
Without looking at me, he says, "Good night, Chris. Hope you had a good day." I'm like,
boy.
"Yeah, you had a good day. How was your day? You get like a lot of business stuff done and stuff?" He offers some short response, but I noticed that he didn't sound mad. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, we good." Yeah. So I'm getting close to finishing my meal, and then he gets up and goes into the other living room. I guess my aunt and uncle do very well for themselves. So he goes into the other room, and then I hear, "Hey, Chris, can I bother you to join me and Auntie in the living room for a moment?"
Can I
That was
bother
in a good
you?
tone of voice right there. No. So I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure thing, Uncle Glenn." So I go in the room.
Calm before the
And I
storm.
am greeted with just this Game of Thrones vibe, bro. Like, my uncle is sitting in like this big vintage grandfather chair with my sweet auntie standing a little bit to the side, a little bit behind the chair, with one hand delicately perched on the back of the chair. I look at her. On her face, I see sympathy. I look at my uncle. On his face, I saw fury. He was upset. He was quiet, staring into my actual soul. "Chris, how about you take a seat?" So I take a seat. "Chris, has Brian been taking you to school in the mornings?" And there it was. Instantly, my stomach sunk. I was caught. Didn't even make sense to try and lie.
Yep,
You
nope.
don't phrase a question
Nope,
like
you
that
don't.
because you don't know the answer. No, you do it to see if the
See, they're
person being asked
stupid
the
enough to
question
lie.
has the gall to lie to your face.
Especially to your
So I
face.
came clean. No, uncle. So how have you been getting to school, Chris? Taylor been taking me. And as soon as I said that, my uncle starts to cuss me out, bro. I'm talking the worst cuss out I've ever gotten in my life. By
Jesus.
anybody. Now my
Listen to the
mom, my
music in the
dad,
background,
coach,
guys.
teacher, nobody has even
You
come
know
close to that. And
it's
this
about to
uncle
go
was
down.
also born and raised in Jamaica.
Oh,
Mix that with the military service and the alphaness that comes with being successful, self-made man. And also, he's about 6'3", 240. Big dude. Bro, he destroyed me with words. I felt so small. Worst I've ever felt in my life about anything to this day. And that's because everything he said was true. I was ungrateful. I was a liar. I was disrespecting him and my auntie by disobeying a direct order right under their noses. And then he dropped the hammer. He told me that as soon as I finished the school year, I was to get all my things together and to get the you-know-what out of that house. Finally, the clip was empty. All the shots had been fired, and I just sat there, teary-eyed and in shock. And then he asks, "What do you say to that?" I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to lie to you. But Brian be smoking in the morning. I didn't want to get caught. And we always late for school. And you and Auntie
at
do
that
so much
point,
for me.
you
I
have
didn't want to
no
ask y'all to
choice.
take me to school no more. And then Taylor was like, she ain't care. So I just did it. I'm sorry. I mean to be a bad nephew. So then my uncle's like, "So why didn't you just tell us what was going on?" Because I didn't want to snitch on Brian, because he a cool dude. He just making bad choices right now. And they could see that I was truly remorseful. But more importantly, they could tell I was being honest. My uncle got up, stood me up, and then gave me a hug. And it was a real hug.
It was the right thing
I
to
could
do.
tell that my lies
thing to do.
had hurt him because
Of
he
course.
thought he had misjudged my character.
Of course.
But now he saw that my
Real
heart
one.
was in a good place. I was just stupid. I was stupid not just because I did what I did, but because I didn't take into consideration that there was a house phone extension on my uncle's night table beside the bed, bro. So every time the security called, he would hear the same half-a-second phone ring every morning at the same time. Also, I could have probably put my girl's name on the guest list so they wouldn't have to call in the morning. Yeah, just plain old stupid. So all was forgiven, and my uncle started taking me to school in the mornings again, and life was good. Moral of the story, honesty really is the best policy.
True.
Or at the very least, don't be stupid.
She wanna come to my place.
So guys, what do you think of that video? That was very fun for me. Very, very, very fun for me. As always, guys, if you made it this far and it seemed like it was showing a bit grainy, I record my videos. I edit my videos off my PS5 now. I'm uploading it in 4K, so sorry for the graininess. I just want to shout out and thank, I think I will put it in the video, but I want to thank the over 300 people that subscribe to my channel. We are a new YouTube channel, and in 1 month, we got over 300 subscribers. So I thank you for showing the support that you guys have. Also, don't forget we do a lot of gaming as well. This one was very funny. Young Don the Sauce Guy, definitely give him a like this video, give him a watch on his channel. I love his work. If you like my work too, guys, don't forget, give me a subscribe. Once again, I cannot stress how much I appreciate everybody. I know I'm supposed to be talking about the video, but I want to thank everybody for subscribing, watching, and liking my channel. Anyway, guys, my name is Will. Don't forget, where there's a will, there's a way. Stay golden, my friend.